Tonight, more bloodshed in Mexico. Another journalist. Tonight, more bloodshed in Mexico. Another journalist killed this week.
As we see, that camera person just got
Our job
shot.
is to report the news, not fabricate it.
Correct.
That's the government's
I am
job.
press. I don't care. Keep going.
Okay, I'm down.
Right? It's
I'm not going to
90%
give you any shit. Can you stay counted? You are fake news.
Famous fake news
Is
at
this
this
the
point.
price one needs to pay to speak the truth?
Fake news.
It's always about silencing the
So it's
target.
like, fuck it, I quit.
Hello. Welcome to Real News Live. How you guys doing tonight? Sorry I haven't been live lately. Of course, Grandpa has not been feeling well. He's had pneumonia. He's doing a little bit better. Off and on, though, day by day. But God bless you guys. I had to go live tonight. Of course, everything that's unfolding and stuff that's going to be unfolding coming the first. I mean, new laws that are going to be applied that people need to be prepared for. Serious new things that are coming forward. And it's not just T-Mobile. Of course, I'm sure you guys heard about the T-Mobile thing, issuing traffic violation fines. Of course, mainstream media trying to say, oh, it's not true. Well, it actually is. It's directly in their terms and conditions for anybody. It does not just apply to mass marketing emails. We're going to go a little bit over what that means. And of course, the definition of social engineering changed for the federal government. So laws, of course, that applied for social engineering, which included hacking and other things, those definitions now being changed, where those laws now apply for any communications that they deem could be constructing a different narrative than the government wants to see. So people need to understand this. It's not just T-Mobile. It's every phone provider has these same fines going in place on the first. And I've been looking through multiple different carriers all the way to Vonage, T-Mobile, and everybody else. They are all taking on these same traffic violation fines. And the laws that are going to be applied to them, we'll talk about those as well, because this is going to affect all 50 states federally, basically. Of course, the non-compliance fines, $2,000 for furbishing, or of course, squirmishing, or social engineering. Now, social engineering is a big term to pay attention to here, but we'll get more into that in a minute. Illegal content, $1,000 fine for each message sent with illegal content. And other violations could be up to $500. Now let's go. Social engineering used to mean that you were using an illegitimate purpose or an illegitimate way to furbish information. Social engineering has always been illegal. That's not a question. But it always was instigated by an attack that happened to an individual online or in person that compromised the personal identity, or the theft of a person's identity and information, or taking somebody's accounts over, whatever. Social engineering attacks. That's what it actually understood what the law's meaning was. Meaning you had to actually do something to hurt somebody directly by attacking either their email, bank accounts, or credit cards, or compromising their identity as a whole. The definition for social engineering has changed drastically, or will be changed drastically as of the first of the year, to anyone, let me repeat this again, anyone that uses information or specific actions to get a response from people. Examples include but not limited to furbishing and skirmishing or pretexting for the purpose of, from reputable companies, or saying information that may induce individuals to reveal personal information, which of course that's bad. But it also is to induce somebody to believing something that is not a main narrative of the federal government. This is a new term that should never be involved in anything, especially because we have the First Amendment, which was the freedom of speech. This is directly, I know what they're going to use this for. They're going to use this directly to push against Republicans and Republican candidates. We see this coming. Any false or fraudulent, misleading messages, descriptions, or endorsements of any kind of violence, inappropriate content, profanity or hate speech, or endorsement of illegal drugs. These all become social engineering clauses. That means $2,000 fines, possible jail time, and everything else that goes along with this. This is going countrywide, the first. Now they're saying this only is going to affect mass, what the AP or Associated Press is trying to say, and their fact checks is this only is going to affect mass messages. But this law isn't targeting mass messages. The social engineering, illegal content aspects are all targeting individuals. If you read the subsection of the law, 5.1, the unlawful, unapproved, illegal content is not related to single individuals, or is not related to corporate individuals. There is no saying that it has to be a mass-produced email or mass-produced information. And this is also going to be targeting social media. So here on this platform, we will be targeted for this. It's not a question. Anything that they deem as fraudulent or misleading in a message I produce, well, they could land me to fines from Facebook to actual jail time for federal government, which is absolutely ridiculous. We're seeing the First Amendment absolutely being teared down on the first, just 2 days away. Fraudulent or misleading messages, or even depicting of violence or endorsing, say, a war or any kind of deemed hate speech, which hate speech means anything nowadays. All of those violate federal law come the first. Everything you post, no, even if it's a personal opinion, if it expresses or gives misleading information that the government deems as misleading, which you know they labeled many things in the past 3 years as misleading that weren't, gives them the right to charge you federally with a crime. And of course, these fines will be hit from social media to cell phones, even your private messages between two individuals. So you cannot call somebody or text somebody on the phone that you are friends with and say your own information between you two that are consenting adults can't have a conversation, that something that might not be approved. So say it might be inappropriate content. Yes, and that's the wording in the federal law on this. Inappropriate content is one of the listings. Inappropriate content means anybody can deem it inappropriate. I mean, I think it's inappropriate when people talk about flash drives. So guess what? Anybody talks about a flash drive, something that everybody uses, I think it's inappropriate. So I think they should all be jailed. And that's the way they're going to use this law, I guarantee you. And we're going to see it unfold very fast. Yeah, China is so bad, can't you tell? You can't call anybody anything. Unless, of course, you're on the right side of the government, whatever the government decides. But this is also going to limit talk about cannabis or medical marijuana. I mean, endorsement of illegal drugs. That means if a doctor and you have a communication through any platform and you're talking about your medical marijuana card, they can imprison you and your doctor for having that conversation illegally, according to the federal government now. That's considered illegal content, even though a medical professional and their patient are having this conversation. So if I tell you, I think COVID caused this, and I influence one of you guys to believe that, it's considered misleading information. I have now violated the law, and they can fine me $2,000 for that one statement I have made after the first. One statement. And they can imprison me. This is an absolute attack on First Amendment rights. An absolute attack. Even on all these fines and everything that these companies are issuing of code of conduct fines, even Facebook has them going into effect on the 1st. Adhere to all federal laws, must adhere to all applicable laws and supportive functions in every state. That means if California passes a law and California states that now using the word what is considered inappropriate content, you have violated the law even if you do not live in California and the message never went through California. Understand the wording of this. It directly states any law in any of the 50 states, even if you don't live in that state and the communication is not going through that state, you still violated the law. Be prepared. And this is coming down. And they can say it's not happening or that's not the way it's stated. It is the way it's stated. Understanding that social engineering, which is illegal, and its old definition, of course, being predicated, of course, of taking somebody's victim by bank accounts or pretending to be somebody else to acquire funds or financial gain or to dispel somebody's reputation by pretending to be them. That was social engineering. But now social engineering is redefined to influencing anybody on any information. So be cautious what you share on social media and how you share it. And the way you say it, because littlest things make the biggest differences. It's absolutely crazy that this is even unfolding in this day and age, but this is something people need to watch what's happening. It's unfolding as we speak. These laws are in place that got passed by partial passes in each individual bill that they were placed in, 1 line or 2 lines here, 3 lines there. And now they've all been passed and will be officially law on the 1st. Having massive impacts. I have a feeling federal law enforcement will be directly related to any enforcement of these actions. You will have a lot of sheriff's offices saying they are not going to enforce these actions. But, I mean, even say you're mad at somebody and you're texting somebody and you say, I'm going to kick your ass because you're having a fight or an argument. That alone would be intentional physical harm, which used to be that wasn't a direct threat. It was a vague threat, meaning, it could have been construed as a threat or just construed as being agitated at somebody. Now that's considered a direct physical threat of physical harm. You will be jailed for it. And they're going to be watching you. They're saying, we're not going to monitor individual messages. But yet, according to cybersecurity companies that have been contracted to view this information and to watch it, they're stating this is for personal identificational information, PPI information that they're getting. Raw data from PPI information, which is individuals, not corporations, which, of course, the AP and the government's trying to state is happening. That it's only for big companies. That's not the case. You do not request PPI information for every single customer unless you plan on targeting individuals and not corporations. This is not about mass emails or mass text messages that are violating content. This is about content violation just because you talked about something the federal government does not want you to talk about. Content must be legal across all 50 states or you're in violation of federal law. Is the exact wording. So even if it's not a federal law, like I stated, If California bans usage of a certain word, and you use that word within a text message, within a private message to somebody else, or post it publicly online, and you don't live in that state, you are still in violation of federal law. By violating a state's law you have no interaction with. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, as we see, of course, Maine now stepping up and saying that Trump cannot be on the ballot there. Of course, an impeachment is pending on the Maine decision there, which we could see somebody being impeached on that in days away. Then we're seeing governors in certain states like Nebraska stands firm on rejecting federal money to feed food insecure children. That's right. He won't take the $18 million of federal funding to feed children in schools, but he will take the money to feed immigrants illegally and house them within his state. This is one thing after unfolding after another. If you look at this, this is disgusting. Pumping money to other countries. We're watching our country turn against its citizens in every aspect, even now at the governor's position. And this is a Republican governor. I got to say, it sickens me. This information that is coming out and unfolding throughout the country is sickening me. And then we watch what's happening around the world. We see globally the world in turmoil, especially not joining the U.S. right now. U.S. overnight funding rates hit record highs amidst year-end volatility. Nobody's talking about this, I'm sure, on mainstream media today, but this is serious. The volatility of the U.S. dollar just skyrocketed overnight. Having a volatile dollar going into a new year, seeing what's unfolding around the world, such as Poland claiming that one of Russia's rockets entered the airspace of Poland temporarily this morning. We'll see what actually comes about of this. This could be bigger problems. Watching this stuff unfold. Russia was doing so bad, right? So terrible. They didn't have any weapons left. They didn't stand a chance in Ukraine. But yet the biggest airstrike of the war so far happened last night in Ukraine. Massive amounts, over 158 missiles and drones were sent into Ukraine and hit heavy fortified defenses. Kiev. Massive destruction in Kiev. Over 31 civilians killed and more than 160 others wounded. Watching this unfold, and of course now Poland stating that Russian missile appeared to have flown in airspace, and they're calling for diplomats to come. And I hate to say this, but it looks like an Article 5 situation might unfold here. If an Article 5 situation unfolds here in Poland as they're summoning diplomats from NATO as we speak, we could easily see this have an Article 5 situation, and the whole world is going down the rat hole at that time. Shithole. Because a Russian missile entered airspace of a NATO member's country, and they're calling for diplomats to immediately respond. This is getting heated. And we won't be able to talk about anything because that's considered social engineering, If we lay out the truth in a narrative that we believe is happening, that is social engineering according to the new definition. By changing that definition slowly and surely and having that definition solidified on the first, it just all coincidentally happens at the same time. Fines and violations go in effect for all these telecom companies and social media networks for violating social engineering laws or rules on their platform. When all the rules change the same day, I know what's going to happen. I know we're going to get fined right away within a couple of hours after my first live. After, of course, the new year, I will receive some kind of fine. And I'll probably receive fines no matter what I say or what I do. But I'll have to limit how I say things. I mean, honestly, it's going to be a different show. I'll talk about the facts, but I won't be able to portray anything of what I perceive in the future or what I could see this leading up to, even though we know where it's heading. I could talk about what it's actually already happened, because that's after the fact. But I can't say, like, if we have another virus situation, I won't be able to change anything. I won't be able to say a single word about what's happening as the events unfold until it's public information and the government deems it the truth, which is going to be worse than China or Russia's communist governments are as we speak. I'll make sure I say that again. Worse than Russia and China's communist governments are as we speak. And people may not understand this, what's unfolding and what's going to happen here in the near future. But this is big news. Like I said, Grandpa's still not doing well. But I had to go live before the first. I have to be able to tell you guys what's happening and share it with you guys. I'm sure this video alone is going to be flagged saying false information. But I want you to actually look up the rules and what's happening. Look up how social engineering rules change on the first, or what the definition of social engineering by the federal government will be after the first, because it does state it's public information. Those are stated openly. Look up Vonage. If you think that T-Mobile thing's bullshit, you can look it up on T-Mobile. Look it up on Vonage, because they already have it's openly posted before the first of what takes place on the first. And they state right on there. They're all going by the same guidelines, and a federal and state government rules apply to them. So they can't say, the government can't say this isn't because of a federal law. They can say that it's fake news all they want. These companies are directly quoting federal and state regulations that are going to make this effective, where they can actually do this without violating anybody's rights. This is utterly disgusting at this point. And watching what's happening, of course, in Israel, a terrible situation, as Israel, of course, decides to hit refugee camps today. Of course, they said they did it on accident. It meant fierce fighting. But Israel tanks fired and aerial bombarded the southern Gaza camp in Kian, with strikes appearing to be continuing throughout this morning as Israel forces, of course, in Gaza eliminate dozens of camps in central Gaza and southern Gaza, including medical camps, Palestinian camps. And I hate saying this because people say, well, how do you know this is true? Israel's admitting that they're attacking these camps, stating that there was at least a dozen operatives within all these camps that they have attacked. So the amount of civilian deaths, we still don't have a total at this time. I'll tell you this, though. We have governments now launching cases at top UN courts accusing Israel of genocide in Gaza. South Africa today launched its case to The Hague. South Africa, of course, launching its case of one of the first to do this so, to the United Nations top court accusing Israel of genocide, and having plenty of evidence to back it up at this point. This is happening. And all this is happening. You know, the rest of the world's turning against Israel. And you know what Biden does? Biden's administration once again bypasses Congress yesterday on emergency weapon sales to Israel. For the second time this month. The first time, was on our global position in NATO and everything else. For the second time this month, Biden's administration is bypassing Congress to approve its emergency weapon sales to Israel to continue its war against Hamas. And all this happening, I have to say this, and I know I wasn't going to talk about it publicly. The Pope endorsing or blessing a gay marriage. I'm sorry. You can be whatever you want to be. You can decide that you want to be with a male and you are a male. That's your decision. When we have the man of God committing blasphemy against the Bible, the conduit to God, the Pope, blessing something that is 100% against, the church is against, and the Bible is against, and God is against. The time to repent is now, because I see the second coming happening faster than anybody is prepared for it to happen. The world is spinning upside down at this point. And if you can't see it, I can't state it well enough. The world is spinning upside down. And the Congress is not allowing this to happen. The administration is bypassing Congress by the orders from 9/11, the war on terror that we signed, the Patriot Act. That's how Biden's administration is bypassing Congress to send weapons to Israel, more weapons. This is against their national interest. It's against the world's interest. What is unfolding in the world, I can't even explain it. It's truly saddening. But I want to come live and let you guys know what was happening as it gets worse. It's not looking any better. God bless you guys. God bless America, of course. I will try to be live soon, sometime next week. I don't know what day. It depends on how Grandpa's doing. Like I said, it's a day-by-day thing. So thank you guys for being here with us. But be prepared for limited with what I can say from now on. I know I'm still going to get fines for anything they deem as a violation, but I'm trying to stay out of prison. That's my main goal, to keep this channel going and stay out of prison. So God bless you guys. God bless America. And of course, if you can help support us, please do. If you can't, we understand. Have a blessed night. Until then, be safe, be secure, and be prepared. Because I have a feeling shit's going to get bad really quick once people realize what these new laws, and this is just one of the big things that I needed to talk about tonight, but those effects of these laws that are going to start playing into everyday life as of the 1st, I want to see how fast they start arresting people, how fast they start calling people political dissidents, because they're social engineering by spreading information that the government deems a threat to the government. But we'll see. Inappropriate content is the wording. It doesn't have to be a threat to the government. It has to be inappropriate content. So what do they deem inappropriate? We'll find out. Till then, be safe, you guys. God bless you. And God bless the country we were and once were and we can be still. And hopefully we can get back there soon enough. God bless you. Good night.